From the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Dressel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned. And we almost did it right.
Almost.
Ta-ta! Hey, there we are. Hey, how is everybody?
Hello.
Hello. We're getting ready for a big ice snowstorm out here. I bet, well, that's everywhere.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I might not have to go to work. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll happen.
They already canceled school.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, they sent also a distance learning thing.
Unbelievable. There's like
2 days before the ice even was going to hit. So almost like, we just have you stay home anyway. And it's probably so that.
Doesn't it suck though that
but they don't get paid if kids aren't in school.
Really?
So I'm sure technically if they do a distance learning thing, then
that's fair. Then
they get paid.
That's fair.
Oh
that's
yeah.
Fair.
Like,
what the hell?
I
Just do your work.
Yeah, my son won't do it.
He's a senior.
He won't.
He's fine.
And you know, he keeps getting absent after absent on these. I got dude, it's your senior year, man. Don't blow it.
Yep. Don't do it.
You don't want to go to go to summer school during your senior year, man.
Absolutely not. He'll be fine.
He will. I think because I talked to him about it. And he's talked to his teachers and stuff. I think he's okay, but man, he's got a lot of he works and then he stays up all night. And
absolutely.
He's oversleeping and not making it to school.
Hey,
but what are you gonna do? He's 18 years old.
He'll be fine. He's a smart kid.
We got a same amount of days, no matter what. If we miss it,
Doug's teacher.
Yeah, Doug the teacher. So Doug, does that? Because they always told me, Doug, when I was in school back a long time ago, that if the kids are out, that the school didn't get the money for that day. But I don't know.
And it sucks just to be a teacher in Oklahoma. So
yeah,
we probably don't get paid.
Yeah, Mel, where you're at, which is right outside of Chicago. Yeah, you guys always are getting hammered.
Absolutely,
hammered all the time with snow and ice and things. Hey, Mona, good.
Yay!
We need some mods in here. Yeah. All right, very good. Well, we got a very interesting show today.
Super excited, man.
Super excited. You know, we've had
been a while.
It's been a while since we talked about UFOs and abductees and things like that. So we have a guest named Anna.
Super nice.
Rosanelli. I hope I said that right. You'll let me know when
you'll get whacked. Yeah. You'll get whacked if you didn't.
Hey, stop it. Stop it.
Sorry, no more mob jokes.
Yeah.
We love the mob.
Garrett.
We do.
Garrett, the more you talk, the more it's bad. Just quit. Just shut up, okay?
No.
All right.
Bring her on, dude.
Okay, I will.
She's awesome.
I will. Dun, dun, there she is. Hey, sorry about my stupid co-host and the mafia jokes. So
that's okay.
But anyway, so Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself. And when did this all start for you?
So when I really started noticing strange things going on was about 10 years ago. And after I started having those experiences, I started having flashbacks. And so I definitely believe this was something that started early on in my childhood. And it wasn't until I really started going through the heavy experiences that I, started having those flashbacks.
Wow. So do you think me and Garrett always talking about this. Don't you think there's a correlation between paranormal and UFOs?
100%.
Yeah. It seems like I've had paranormal experiences since I was a kid. And at the same time, I shared with you about my UFO experience. And it's like other people I've talked to who've seen ghosts or had those experiences have also witnessed UFOs. And we've tried to figure what is the correlation there. I mean,
have you had
we're just more open, perhaps? I don't know. But yeah,
I think that's the case.
Right. And you had paranormal experiences, shadows, I think you said, or
yes. Not just shadows. After my uncle had passed away, I had woke up and as clear as day, I could see him standing in my room. And as I'm looking, I noticed that I could see through him. And it's like he had kind of like a light in his chest. And it was so real. And there's no way, people would say, oh, well, are you sure you weren't dreaming or half asleep? I was fully awake,
For
and
sure.
it was a really powerful experience.
So, paranormal versus UFO experiences, which one tops it? I mean, do you have more paranormal experiences or more UFO?
Actually, more UFO
Okay.
experiences.
I think they just think I'm boring, Garrett. I've
Yeah.
had one experience, like I told you about mine. Yeah, it was a wild experience. This thing, um, I'll go. Everybody's heard this, but I'll go ahead and tell you. But it's like we went back in the 70s. You know, if you wanted to get a Coke, nothing was open. You had to go to the Coke machine outside the supermarket, right? So about said my wife, my sister and I went to go get a Coke. As we were leaving, we're getting ready to pull out, and there's this big object above the car wash, as crazy as it sounds. And I thought at first it's a helicopter. I'm hanging my body out. I'm looking at it, and it's making no noise. There's not like a thing. And so I was going, God, even to me, I thought it was awesome.
Is Aunt Debbie
Yeah.
at this point like, hey, why are you hanging out the
Get into the
window?
mic.
Is she like, why are you hanging out the window, Keith? Or
No,
does
she saw
understand?
it.
She saw it?
Yeah, it stopped us in our tracks, but we didn't even turn. We looked up and was like, oh my God, what is that? And like I said, I hung out the window. It definitely wasn't a helicopter, made no noise. And I'm excited about it because I think it's kind of cool. She's getting scared. We turn right. This thing starts hovering like beside the car, going with us. And now, again, it's not like, 50 feet off the ground. It's probably a good 200 feet up in the air, maybe 150. And so I was trying to reassure. I said, hey, look, I said, when we turn into the neighborhood, it's probably an airplane. It's going to keep going or something else. And as soon as we turned onto our street, it turned down our street. And when we pulled into our driveway, it stopped. Now my sister's screaming. She's frightened to death. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I run in the
Poor Aunt
house.
Debbie.
Yeah, I felt bad for her because she was scared. She ran and I went in the house and I told my dad about it. My mom was like, go away with your UFOs. My dad came out and it stayed in front of our house probably 20 minutes. It shot, which is weird. It shot down this beam of light probably 5 or 6 times and it never hit the ground. It went halfway down and then back up.
Huh.
And then it just sit there. About 20 minutes later, it just left.
It said, Keith's boring. I'm never gonna.
Yeah,
visit
and
him
so
again.
And I've never seen one again that I know of.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
yeah, I think it's like we talked about. You kind of got people are so caught up in life sometimes they're not aware of things that are happening around
Right.
them.
Right.
I think there's more paranormal stuff that happen to everybody that they just don't notice because they're not paying attention or looking for it.
So whenever you're having these like experiences, you said about 10 years ago, and you started having flashbacks from when you're a child, were
Yeah.
they really vivid to you?
Yes, very vivid.
Can you explain like any of them, or is that?
Yeah, so it first started off about 10 years ago, and it started off as seeing shadow apparitions. And I kind of thought, my fiance works night shift. Maybe I'm just spooking myself and
Right.
try to blow it off as that. And I kept seeing this. And then I started having dreams where I was seeing this too, and I would have sleep paralysis. And it was really alarming because this wasn't something that was just happening every once in a while. This was every night.
Wow.
And then it turned into having dreams of gray beings and dreams of UFOs. And this happened every night for probably about two months, I would say. And there was one night that I woke up and I could see clear as day 3 gray beings, and I just was paralyzed. I couldn't scream.
That'd be terrifying.
It was very traumatic, but I handled it pretty well. I don't remember laying on like a table with the lights or anything like that. I just remember them coming into my room almost about every night and just seeing them. And what most people, like a lot, I hear people talking about like the small gray beings. In my case, I saw the small gray beings and some that were very tall. And I'm talking about so tall they would kind of duck to get in, under the door. And yeah, it was very traumatic. But I would just become paralyzed. And as much as I tried to scream or move, I couldn't, and I would just black out and wake up, you know, several hours later, knowing that they came in, but not knowing anything at all that happened after that.
So were you familiar with like aliens and UFOs and gray beings and things of this nature before this started happening, or did you like once it started happening research and look into it more?
Well, I always kind of believed that there was, I remember watching the movie Signs with my grandmom, and I
Great
just
movie.
like, yeah, and I just always thought there was something else out there, that we couldn't be the only beings. And
Right.
yeah, after I had those experiences, I would just be, you know, whether it was at work or at the house, I would just have these images flash into my head, and they were so vivid. And some of them, like I said, were from my childhood. I just had this realization one day. I was little, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and kind of like off to the wall was a stand-up fan, and right beside that, I remember seeing a gray being. And this memory was so vivid and so real. I knew that it had to be true. And it's just remarkable, because I've had other memories, as far as like one of the tall gray beings kind of like touching the back of my head and then becoming paralyzed.
When you were a child?
Yes, when I was a
Mm.
child.
Like how old?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How old were you when this started
And
happening?
some of the memories, I would probably be anywhere from 5 and up.
Wow.
God,
Yeah.
I mean, for such a little girl, that just had to have been so
So
traumatic.
dramatic.
Did you talk
Yeah.
to your parents about this experience, or were you too afraid, or did you think it was a dream, or?
I just kind of remember, and it was funny, because after I had the one flashback, I actually remembered something that happened that I didn't have in my memory. Was after seeing this gray being, I kind of like put the covers over me and probably didn't fall asleep till the sun came up. But I never mentioned it to any of my family members. I kind of thought, you know, what would they think, or like they wouldn't believe me.
So were there gaps of times? I know you said there for a while it was all the time. Was there times that you went through, say, 4 or 5 months, no contact, and then boom, all of a sudden there's contact again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you said you're 5, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when was the next time you had a big batch happen to you from the age of 5 till what? How old were you? Or was it just scattered throughout?
My first visitation was probably around the age of 5. I remember a memory from probably when I was about 10 years old. Was I remember specifically this tall gray being coming into my room, and just the way how I guess I was sleeping on my stomach, and it was almost like a third person point of view, like this memory, because I could see my body, and I could see this gray being come into the room and put its hand on back of my head, and just becoming paralyzed and blacking out.
So you could visually actually see this happening? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Wow.
Yes.
Almost like you had an out-of-body experience looking down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the memories will happen during the day, just anytime. A lot of times I get dreams, and that they're so vivid. There's, you know, I always think maybe it's something that's suppressed that's trying to come out.
Mhm. Man.
I'm fascinated right now.
Yeah.
But
I'm
real,
like, I'm sorry.
the real heavy activity started about 10 years, and that's when things really
Took off.
started, you know, happening.
Hey, Mona wanted to know if like they talk or if they're just making sounds or if this is
Or is
all
it
just
like
in silence.
or did they
Telepathic.
send you messages through your, like, telepathically or whatever?
Sometimes, but not so much the tall gray beings. It would always be the short gray beings, and telepathically, sometimes they would be stay calm. Let's see. There's some things that I kind of feel like they were speaking telepathically, and at the same time I'm blacking out. But
Mhm.
I just remember stay calm. I remember something about in one of them saying an experiment of some kind and just, blacking out and not really remembering anything. Like I said, I never remember like laying on a table like other people report of, but I do get really bad anxiety when I see like big flashes of lights.
Interesting.
Also,
I think
Mona,
I think it would be interesting where people go under the hypnosis. I think I would probably experience a lot under that.
have you thought about doing that?
Yes.
Oh, I think, yeah, that'd be awesome if you recorded it, and a lot of information probably you could find out that's just subconsciously trapped.
Absolutely.
So do you think, did you ever, when you had these experiences, did you ever feel like you were on a craft or anything like that? Or was everything, or was there any memory at all?
There wasn't much memory. A few times after blacking out, it would kind of feel like you're halfway dreaming or something. I kind of remember bits and pieces of like feeling like I was going through a wall or having bright lights around me, but nothing after that.
And so, and don't take this the wrong way, but having really no one to talk to about it, did you ever feel like, God, am I crazy? Or
Yeah,
is there a
I
mental
was,
illness or?
yeah, right when the activity first started really getting bad was when I had just met my fiance, and I was scared to say anything, so I figured, oh wow, he's going to think
Right.
I'm crazy. So I just started the relationship with him, and I did not say anything until probably a year into our relationship.
Wow.
I had purposely put on the movie The Fourth Kind, and after the movie, I told him, I was like, I think I've had abduction experiences. I showed him I have like an implant in my leg, and I can actually put a magnet over it and it will stick. And I have one
Oh
on
my
this
God.
ear, like behind the ear, and I showed it to him, and he was taken back. I think he was speechless, didn't know what to say, and tried to make me feel at ease, and was like, well, maybe you got metal under your leg, or you just were having bad dreams or something like that. And we've been together so long now. As the years went by, I keep being persistent. I have had these experiences, and I get him to watch Ancient Aliens, and
Yeah.
What,
how he's a firm believer, and he saw weird lights in the sky, so he's on board now.
so
Good.
before this though, was he open-minded about paranormal and
Not
UFO?
really.
So
Not really.
when you were telling him these stories, I mean, was there a part of him going, "Oh man, did I make a mistake here?" I don't mean that bad, but I'm just saying, like he
Yeah,
thought,
sometimes I could pick up on that energy.
yeah.
um,
When do you
After
think you?
I,
Go ahead.
mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I probably told my family about 2 years in is when, and I'll never forget it. I was actually at my mom's house, and it was right before Christmas Eve. We were making Christmas cookies, and my grandma, my mom, and my two sisters and brother was there, and I pretty much told them what was going on and that I've had these experiences. And my grandmom's really old fashioned, so I think she didn't
Hmm.
know what to think about it at the time, or maybe the sense of you shouldn't talk about these types of things.
For
People will
sure.
think you're crazy.
Yeah.
My mom was, I could see the look of terror.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents were pretty strict Christians, and so if I saw anything like that, or if I had anything paranormal happen to me, they thought it was from the devil. So they weren't very open-minded, but at all. And that's fine. I understood, how they grew up was in Southern Baptist, religion, and anything that's different than Christianity is of the devil. Um, or it's just make believe. Oh, you just think you saw that. So I never, and not to tell my story,
Oh,
but
good.
I never really talked to them too much. I kind of bring it up, but I just could tell they weren't taking me seriously, so I could stop
Yeah,
talking about it.
Well,
and you feel shame, or you feel like you disappoint them.
Yeah.
And I mean, just over the years, I've kept pushing and kept saying, okay, well, let's sit down and let's watch this Ancient Alien episode. And I'll point different things out. And, through the years, they've really start to have realized, okay, something did happen here. And they've, and my mom was home one night, and my stepdad was out working in the garage. and he had texted my mom and said, "Come outside, I see lights above the house." And sure enough, she went out there and they watched these lights, and there was no way it was a plane or anything like that. And I think they've seen lights like that on 2 occasions. My mom's definitely a big believer now. She's so excited. I'm sure she's probably watching now.
Good.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah.
Well, I was curious if, because when you do suppress things like that are traumatic, that can have effects on a lot of different parts of your life, right? But on the other side of it, when we're talking about aliens and paranormal activity, do you think that there was an uptick in that kind of experiences when you were suppressing it, right? Like, and because it was probably more chaotic for you?
Yeah,
Does that
I
make
think
sense?
the mind can only handle so much before you break. There has been, like, I personally think if people see gray beings walking in their room, they just go into a fear, maybe they can't, or they black out. And
Right.
you know, I think that there's a lot of things people, you know, memories lost that way through traumatic
Sure.
events.
For sure.
So did this put you in a state of mind when it started happening? Like, I'm going to do research. I'm going to dig deep into this thing
Yeah.
and find out what's going on.
Mhm.
And because just me and Garrett doing this show, we've been on for a little over a year now, and we've learned a lot about, you know, I didn't know there's different species. I mean, I've had 2
Yeah.
guests on talk about the reptilians,
Yeah, absolutely.
the grays, and the tall, skinny ones. There's actually a name for them too, and I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was. But did you go in like to the library? Well, you're not that
Yeah,
old, so
so
probably.
my research was pretty much on YouTube, and I just started looking up people that have had these experiences, and that's pretty much what I was doing all day, because these experiences that I was having were so frequent and so vivid, and I pretty much spent my whole time looking up and seeing who else have had these experiences. And after doing so much research, these people all said the same thing, and these were the exact same experiences that I was having. You know, and I think people have got to accept that, you know, this isn't something like, you know, I think people will think this person's crazy or has a mental health issue, but this has happened to so many different people, and they all say the same thing.
I'm seeing that in the
Yeah,
chat.
and to me, I don't know about you, but to me, it was a little comforting that you know, because when I saw this again, this was like 1978, right? And you didn't back then, you just didn't talk about it. In fact, my dad was like the head of pathology at a hospital. He saw it, but he never spoke to any of his colleagues
Yeah.
about it because they would have thought he was nuts, and he was, you know, afraid of losing his job.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I started kind of looking into it, there was a little bit of comfort for me. I was like, okay, I didn't, you know, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm not nuts, like maybe. But again, I knew I wasn't because my sister saw it, I saw it, my dad saw it, but it was still just a weird thing to happen. That, you know, are there UFOs? And then the more research I did, the more I found out, man, this is a real thing. There's too
Yeah.
many people seeing these things for them not to be real.
Yeah.
I
Well, the cat's out of the bag now too, right?
It is, and I think the Pentagon released that Tic Tac video. They released a few things. You know, honestly, I don't even know if they know what they are, and I think maybe that's one of the big cover-ups is it. Think about trying to announce to the American people, well, yes, there's something out there, but guess what, folks? We can't protect you from it because our technology is so far
Yeah.
superior than
Yeah.
ours.
Right.
And that's one of the things I think maybe why they do keep it under wraps. They probably do know a lot more than what we know, but I think they're afraid not only on the religious thing, because that would turn the world upside down too. And I think it's that, and I think it's the other thing is we can't protect the citizens of the United States
Right.
Yeah.
from this thing. And they've even I don't know if you've read about where UFOs have been seen over missile silos that disarmed every
Oh,
nuclear
yeah.
missile,
Yeah.
which is just like that's insane. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's almost their message saying, "Hey guys, quit. Stop this nonsense with the war and all this."
Well, I think that when you like take everything that we've talked about so far and kind of paint it like a big picture, is on both sides of it. If they have the capability to shut down missile defense or missiles, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we can't even do that to Russia or vice versa, right?
Right.
Then they probably have the ability to access us telepathically, right? And oftentimes in like our paranormal episodes, we talk about, when we're asleep or when we're tired or when we're stressed is oftentimes when like something can latch onto you or you're susceptible, right? And so what's to say if they have these kind of capabilities on the technology side that on these social psychological side that they're not able to infiltrate as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I mean, I think that their message is, I mean, and that's a good, let me ask you about that. Why do you think they're visiting us? So I mean, what do you think they're trying to get a message out going, hey guys, let's be peaceful, let's love each other?
I definitely think that there's been, like you said, with the missiles and then being shut down, that's definitely peaceful behavior to me.
Yes.
I do believe that there are good extraterrestrials and then there are bad ones.
Right.
And I would like to share too, before I lose my train of thought,
Sure.
there was one occasion where I remember my fiance had his friend come over at the time. And so I left to go get the boys a cheeseburger. And this was in the evening. It was getting pretty dark outside. And when I came out of my house, I had seen a black triangle drone, and it was hovering just above the ground, and it was creating like a camouflage, like fog around. And I remember looking at this, and there was no fog anywhere else around it. And a few seconds of me staring at, I mean, this thing shot up and was gone in seconds. And I just wanted to make sure I shared that because I haven't really heard of too many other people experiencing that, But I thought that's interesting, like the type. And I mean, I used to work at a motorcycle shop that sold drones, and nothing that we had could compare to what I saw.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Even Commander, was it Favor?
Favor.
Yeah, even Commander Favor said when they locked this UFO in on their target, was it F-15, right, or something? They said it was doing maneuvers that we don't have for sure. And then even after it locked on, it got out of the lock. It completely just left, like within a split second. It
disappeared and then reappeared at the place they're going.
Yeah, and which makes me wonder too. I always wonder if there's bases in the sea. I mean, I know it sounds nuts, but you hear a lot about people seeing crafts coming out of the sea, going into the sea. Commander Favors was just above the ocean, going at a crazy speed. So what's your thoughts on that? Do you think possibly that
absolutely. I think that there are places underwater. I think that there are places on the moon and underground.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as far as the grays, whether they're peaceful or not, I just kind of kept telling myself if they were, dangerous or hostile. I have been abducted so many times, and each time I've been brought back. Right. I think their sole interest is in hybrids, and I would have incredible abdominal pain after my abduction experiences. I would wake up, and I mean, it was excruciating. I never went to the hospital or anything like that. I mean, it was excruciating, but it wasn't enough to go to the hospital. And I feared, what would I say? How could I explain this to somebody? And so I just kind of kept it secret. But I do definitely believe that the Greys are interested in tagging people, observing them, and making hybrids.
So you think they're mainly interested, do you think, in our DNA, how we...
Yeah.
And I wonder why, I mean, why would they want that? I mean, they're superior beings over us, unless maybe they don't have emotions. They want emotions. Maybe they want a timeline. I don't know. But it's like, I kind of think of that too. It's like, what do they find about us so interesting? I mean, we're idiots, mainly. I mean, we're just a bunch of dumb monkeys.
Yeah, we are.
And they're looking down, we're building missiles, we're fighting, we're killing, we have serial killers, we have murderers, it's all this chaos. Why would you want to have DNA of that type of creature or human creature? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Do you think that they do lack emotions, or I mean they can't because
But I definitely don't believe they're as emotional as human beings.
do you think they want that?
I do. You know, there's been so many theories of, are these falling angels? Are these beings soulless?
Mhm.
I don't have the answers, but yeah, I do believe that, you know, for whatever reason, I think they're interested in us because we have souls. I mean, I'm not
Uh-huh.
100% sure if
That's
they are
interesting.
soulless or not, but my intuition tells me that.
Right. So let's get back to the implant you have, which is
Mhm.
that's very interesting.
Well, hey,
Have you?
really fast?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just writing something down about the hybrids thing because that's always kind of fascinated me. That's what Amber Lee talked a lot about,
Yes.
right?
Well, doesn't she believe? I think she thinks she's a hybrid,
Right.
and possibly her daughter.
Right.
Maybe. And Amber, if you're on there today, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
hon.
But do
I
you
could be-
think that maybe one of the reasons would be so that they could, because wasn't there something about like oh, that was single seven having to cool
Now
it?
that's fantasy.
No, okay, but do you think that it would have something to
She's
do
wanting to say something.
with so they can habitate our Earth? Is that what
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I think, you know, for them, maybe the oxygen isn't breathable or
Right.
something along the lines of that, and they may be interested in making a hybrid
or
that,
genetics?
yeah,
Okay,
that'll be easy for them to be here.
awesome. Okay, I'm sorry. We can get. I just
No,
was
I totally
writing-
forgot I was going to
no,
ask
implement
her.
and the implants. Asking,
Yeah,
we're
the
gonna get back to
implants.
the implants.
Have you ever had an X-ray or anything like? I know it's probably be weird to go to a doctor and go, "Hey, I think I got an implant." You know, they're going to want to put you in
No,
a psychiatric hospital.
I never got that done. It's something that I wanted to do, but it was like, how can I explain this? And I just kind of got to a certain point in my life where I'm just speaking the truth. And, you know, I always thought if I did go in there, I'm just going to tell them that I've had these experiences. But no, I haven't yet. And I've always told my family, because, you know, I think, you know, maybe like someone like my younger sister will hear about all these experiences and think, okay, well, is this, you know, is she telling the truth about everything? And I've always said, you know, at my own expense, I'm willing to take a lie detector, do anything, whether it's the x-ray or whatever, to prove that, you know, this had happened. I kind of got a little thrown off guard when I watched a documentary. This guy had an implant removed from him, and they had sent it off to be, you know, observed or whatever. And needless to say, it went missing. There was no explanation of what happened. I never heard anything back. That really kind of made me nervous. You know,
I
and
bet
I
we
just,
could find some people.
You know,
Hey,
well, you know,
what-
Dr. Stephen Greer will remove that for you. So, are you familiar with Stephen Greer?
I think I've heard of him. Is he the older man?
Yeah, older. Well, he's not real old. I mean, easy there. No, about my age, maybe.
pretty
No,
old.
no, he's
There
actually.
was one, I only asked because there was one that I knew about that had passed away, and I didn't know if that was the same guy.
No, Stephen Greer's probably in his 60s. He's kind of buff. He's kind of in real good shape, but he has a whole website. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Coast to Coast AM and Albert Bell and all that, but he used to be on there quite a bit. And I believe it was him. I know there was maybe 2 doctors that would remove trackers, and they said that even when they would make the incision, as they went to get it, this thing would move. And it was
Yeah.
like it was making it hard for them to try to remove this thing from the body.
I've
So,
often wondered if the one in my leg was like either removed or went down deeper, because right when I had decided to contact MUFON, I had sleep paralysis, these really crazy dreams. And I remember waking up and there was like where my implant is, it was really swelled up. So I decided to kind of squeeze. I was actually in a panic because I thought the implant was just about to come out. But
yeah.
this orange paste came out. It was the weirdest thing. And, you know,
Oh,
I
wow.
see like the pimple popper shows, and I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like that came out of my leg. And there is times where if I push down, I can kind of feel something. So I wonder if it's deep down in there, or if possibly it was removed right before I spoke out on MUFON about it. But the one on this year is right there. I can feel it, and a magnet sticks to that area. And this is the ear that I hear a lot of frequencies out of. A lot of people will report ringing frequencies, and there's so many times that happens.
Yeah, they say, I've read that one of the theories is believe it or not, they believe that they are actually, you are downloading information
Yeah, I've heard
into your
that.
brain when you hear the ringing.
It's like communication too, because there's been times where I would hear these frequencies and I would stop what I was doing and meditate. And I was in Ada, North Carolina at my dad's house in my room at the time. And as I'm hearing this frequency, I'm meditating with my eyes closed. And when I opened my eyes, I remember seeing what I call the short, small gray. It was a small gray come through the wall. And as I'm taking all this in, I guess I began to panic and kind of like disconnect it right away. And it just kind of faded out back to the wall. But that was I get kind of fearful sometimes, even after having so many different experiences.
Oh,
it is
absolutely.
something that's really scary. But I think that perhaps you can communicate very easily. People
Right.
that have implants or
It
have
is scary because it's something we don't understand, and they have to know that too. It's like, hey, we're humans, and you're putting this information into us, and what do we do with this? And you're walking through walls. That's not normal for human beings.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, I mean, you would have to think they have the leverage, obviously, because like
absolutely.
we've spoken about, it's difficult. It's a difficult subject to approach. Although I think it's becoming, obviously, you would agree, I'm sure, how much easier, more accessible it is to talk about. I mean, even the fact that we're just all three.
Oh, believe me. Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, it's like, even for me working out at my gym, you said hi to Jared earlier.
Yeah.
That's a dad from my gym, right? Right. So like, it's cool that I'm able to even be on here and talk about it and just feel comfortable with it.
I can tell you from a child of the 70s, it's completely different. I mean, there was still a big fascination with a lot of people, but you didn't talk about it. You know, you didn't. Yeah. You didn't, but now you're seeing, now it's getting a little more open. People don't think you're nuts anymore. I finally am at a point where I can share my story with people now, and they're not like, okay, Keith's out of his freaking mind.
Has that helped you a lot, being able to just kind of talk about it?
Yeah, definitely. The first couple of years, I didn't really talk too much about it at all. And I remember just praying to God, like, please, let people see what I've, seen. And sure enough, it's like almost we're going through an awakening where people are questioning more things, whether it's politics, all these different things.
Right.
And I think it's like a chain reaction. And that was why this is, the first time I've been on YouTube talking about it, because there's so many people awakening to it. And even if I reach through to that one person, it creates a chain reaction. And that was my hope, is because, I mean, how can we evolve as a species if we're constantly being lied to? And I think
believing there's boundaries.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on that a little bit. Do you think they know a whole lot more than they're telling, or do you think that we know there's something there, but we don't know nothing about it? We don't.
Yeah, I think that the government definitely knows about it. There's just been too many people that have, said that, whether it's the Men in Black showing up or somebody from the government. I mean, one of my favorite people is Paul Hellyer, and he testified knowing, saying that the government knew about 4 different extraterrestrial races that he was aware of, that, they knew about. And, go back to the Eisenhower time.
Yeah.
So many people have said, in exchange for technology, they agreed on people getting abducted.
Right. Do you think that really happened?
That.
Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I was super stoked to see was American Horror Story actually did a take on the gray beings, and Eisenhower was in that. And if you guys get a chance, I think you'd really like that season.
Cool. Yeah, it would be cool.
It's more like history instead of, science fiction.
Yeah, the whole Eisenhower thing's interesting because it was like, he disappeared for like 2 days, and people were going, "Where's the president?" And
Mm-hmm.
that's when this meeting was taking place. However, the press secretary said, "Oh well, President Eisenhower is having a tooth or fixed right now,
Yeah.
and that's why no one's seen him because the press hadn't seen him for 2 days."
Right.
So the rumor is, whether it's true or whether it's not, that he had met with the aliens at some secret location and that they did make this deal. However, someone I talked to said that actually the Greys didn't keep their part of it because there was a limit to how many people could be abducted, and then they
Yeah.
just went willy-nilly,
Yeah, because what are you gonna do?
But what are you gonna? Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna?
Yeah.
How are you gonna? What are you gonna do about it?
I
But,
think that abduction experiences are far more common than what people actually think. I've talked to some people that I went to high school with and kind of was like, oh, I kind of wouldn't go into full details, but I'd be like, oh, I saw this strange light in the sky, and they would have the same story. Oh, I seen something, and it's really, really common.
Well,
Yeah.
how common? I mean, I bet it's way more common than we even realize. Because I was a very active dreamer. I almost wasn't even able to get into the Army because of my sleepwalking habits. And so, what's to say that?
But
maybe
you were in the Army, though.
I was.
Did you find out afterwards or something?
Oh no, I knew my doctor that signed off and said I could.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you kind of snuck into the Army in a way.
So, but what's to say that I haven't been abducted, right? But life gets in the way, and I don't think about it that way. And they're like, okay, I'm not getting through to this person, so why in the hell would I, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people don't even remember,
or you don't remember
have had abduction experiences and have no idea. And then there are the people, like me, that for whatever reason saw this.
So back to the implants, because I'm interested in this.
Yeah, these are.
When were you aware? What made you aware? Like, oh shit, there's something in my leg. Oh crap, there's something behind my ear.
Hang on.
Yeah.
This started when I was having the dreams at first of gray beings, and I remember having the most vivid dream you could ever imagine. And I remember waking up and it felt like I had been drugged. I remember my eyesight was kind of blurry. And I remember reaching behind my ear and feeling this bump. And I remember just kind of like kept scratching at my leg, and I thought it was a mosquito bite on my leg, and it didn't go away. And I just
cut you off for just a minute. I'm sorry, and I apologize. Actually, we got in trouble for that.
We always get
we get comments going, would you quit cutting people off?
Oh my God.
But okay, so did you actually have like a mark on the leg? You said it itched. It was like a pimple. So yeah, so did it?
Yeah, it was like a mosquito bite. So I kept scratching at this thing for weeks, and slowly it started to kind of go down where there wasn't a bump on the outer part of the skin, but I could feel it was like a bar under my leg, like a small bar. And at times, if I pulled the skin kind of like tight enough, you could see something dark under there.
Yeah.
And after having so many of these dreams and researching it and finding out that implants are very common, I just, one of the things I watched was that magnets will stick to implants, and I tried it, and sure enough, the magnet would stick. And when I would do that, I would hear these frequency noises. And
oh my God.
Yeah, and I just knew deep down that these were implants.
That's interesting. So you actually heard frequencies. Now, was that when you got the magnet close to it? Is it when you'd hear these noises, or?
Yeah, I would just put the magnet like right up to my ear, and it would stick. And same thing on my leg, and that was really, I think, one of the big indicators when sorry, I got so many dogs here.
No, you're fine.
But after showing that to my fiance, time and time again, at first he kind of thought maybe I was like flying shrapnel or something, metal got hit,
right.
under my skin. And I kept telling him, I was like, look, I can literally like walk around and the magnet won't fall off. And I would tell him I'm hearing frequencies when I'm putting the magnet right there. And it was shortly after that he had saw a ball of light in the sky, and I remember him like kind of looking at me like he was scared. And my first thing I said is, do you believe me now? And yeah, yeah. So
So you got one behind your ear,
yeah.
right? And God, I wonder, do you think they're tracking devices, or I mean, or do you think it's like
Yes,
they
the
use
one
it for information?
I would say the one on my leg is a tracking device, and the one behind my ear is kind of like a boost communicator,
Oh,
where
nice.
it's easy to communicate. It's easy for me to hear things and to receive messages. And I believe that if I fully went into channel mode, I would probably have so many experiences. But honestly, I've had enough trauma,
Yeah.
and I'm not
Anna,
prepared to have gray beings just in my face.
yeah, I would be curious to see what hypnosis therapy or something like that would bring out, and then see if that would help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, maybe you could describe it, the ship. Maybe you were on a ship. Maybe And so now you said there was two different alien, the short gray and then the tall gray.
Yeah.
When you saw these, were these separate visitations or were they at the same time? I mean,
Sometimes it would be the same time, and other times it would just be the small grays, and then other times it would just be the tall grays.
wow.
Yeah. And the small grays, I would say, didn't bother me as much as the tall grays. The tall grays, for me, very emotionless. They didn't show emotions. They just had more of a scary look to them. And, I took to the small ones a little bit better.
Yeah, a little less intimidating.
Yeah.
So is it like what we've all been described, the big eyes and kind of the oval kind of or giant
Yeah.
head?
No clothes at all. Big black eyes.
So
There was only one.
asexual.
Huh?
So they'd be asexual, no, not female
No,
or male.
no reproductive organs. There was only one time when I saw clothing on a gray being. The tall grays don't wear clothes, the short grays don't wear clothes, but there was one occasion where it was a small gray being, and it had this pink triangle, almost something like a priestess or something like that would wear. And that really stood out to me. And I remember going online doing research after that, and I found a drawing, and it was a small gray being with that, and it was basically putting its three fingers on, which they have four fingers, but it was putting three fingers on this lady's forehead who was asleep. And I mean, this was exactly what I saw. So
Wow.
that was pretty. I was shook after seeing that.
What do you think the significance was?
I'm not
What
sure.
is?
I don't know if any ways they are spiritual, or if there's, I don't know why it would wear that, but I remember that really stood out to me, because none of them would have material on like that.
Man, that's heavy.
That is.
Are you currently, if you don't mind me asking, are you currently having these experiences still, or is
Not
it
not as much as what I used to. Things are pretty quiet now, but occasionally I will still have dreams of gray beings, UFOs, really long sleep paralysis, and it seems like my sleep paralysis is way more longer now. There will be times where it feels like I'll be lifted up to the ceiling and kind of brought back down and lifted back up again. And so I still do have, minor experiences,
Wow.
but it's much quieter now. Another thing, the first time I had really saw the saucer-shaped UFO was I was in Chocowinity, North Carolina, at my boyfriend's house, and as I was actually too scared to go to sleep because I was having these experiences, and he was working night shift. And I remember my daughter was asleep on the couch, and I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, and it was like all of a sudden I heard this loud ringing noise, and I just kind of had it's like that they're there before you see them, type of thing. And I remember just being so freaked out. I knew something was about to happen, and I scooped my daughter up off the couch. And the second I opened up the front door, I looked up, and there was a UFO right above the house. And I remember specifically seeing orange lights, red and blue lights, and there might have been some white lights, but I remember just being so shocked because it was literally right over top of the house. I ran to my car, and I remember putting my daughter in the car seat. And I mean, I was so ready to get out of there. I didn't even strap the seatbelt. I just was in mom mode. I'm protecting my daughter. I'm very scared. And
Yeah.
I remember being so scared, thinking my car wasn't going to start. Are they going to do something to make my car not start? And luckily, my car started. And I mean, I just dodged out of there. But as I'm going, it seems like my car is slowing down. And I thought maybe they're right behind me. I was so scared. My foot was like this on the gas pipe. That's why I was going slow. And it was so traumatic. I didn't know what to do. I just went to the Walmart parking lot and actually slept in my car with the doors locked. And, you know, you kind of feel ashamed, like if you say something to your parent, especially back then when I was really first starting to go through this, you know, are my family going to be ashamed of me? Are they going to think that I'm crazy or on drugs or, you know, and it was a lot to go through. But luckily now my family's been really supportive. I mean, even my grandmom, who didn't believe in stuff like that, she now knows something really must have happened.
For sure.
You know, for her to keep talking about it like that.
This is something that I've always really wondered, like even in Keith's experience, like I wonder if you and Aunt Debbie were only like, and maybe even Grandpa, were having that experience. Like the neighbors probably didn't even know what the hell was going on. So like whenever you're running out of the house and you see this UFO and it's glowing with all these colors and you're trying to get out of there, do you think that onlookers would see, like, do you think that's just in your realm? Does that make sense?
No, I believe that, you know, somebody has a UFO over their house. Other people could see it too, but it's the time that I think it's the time that they come. I think they come when they know people are asleep.
Oh, it was night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he was working nights.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious about that. That makes more sense. Okay.
There was only one experience that I had that was during, you know, daylight. It was actually in the morning. And I remember just waking up and I remember hearing the birds. And I'm just like kind of stretching in bed. I'm fully awake listening to the birds. And as I turn to the side, I see like these flashes of lights come into my bedroom. And my body just became paralyzed. And I'm trying so hard to look at these lights. And it was like a force was pushing my head the other direction. And I tried so hard to turn my head, but I couldn't. And the second my head went this way, I just blacked out. And that was the only time I remember something happening that wasn't at nighttime.
This has really disrupted your life a lot. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
when you have to go to the Walmart parking lot and sleep and because of fear.
It's really scary. And my hope is that, you know, when people hear other people's experiences, they'll come out and it'll be something that's not, you know, taboo to talk about, because I think there's probably so many people that are traumatized. And if this is happening to children, I cry a lot about it.
Yeah, and that which brings me to my next question. You said you have a daughter, right? Are we having any UFO experiences? Is she having any of those?
She had said something to me. It was when we were living in Chalkawinity, North Carolina, and this was probably about, I would say, 8 years ago. My fiance at the time, he had like this old school project. It was like Planet Earth, and he had drew it for like a school project, and he had like kind of thumbtacked it on the wall. And as it's time to go to bed, my daughter didn't want to sleep in her room. She wanted to sleep with me in our room. So I lay her in the bed, and she looks at the picture and she's like, "Oh, take it down. That's scary." And I said, "Well, what's scary about it? We live on Earth." And she said, "But the three gray men.
Oh man.
And there's no bigger fear than not being able to protect your child.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very traumatic. I mean, I was probably walking around in shock for God knows how long. And then the only other occasion was there was this one time, it was getting dark. It wasn't too late. I don't remember falling asleep at all. And I woke up and I just couldn't believe I had fell asleep, and I couldn't find my daughter anywhere. I'm screaming, couldn't find her, looking in all the rooms, and my daughter wasn't one just to go outside. And I had found her sleeping under a coffee table, and that was just so bizarre. And I'm trying to wake her up and she's not waking up. And finally she wakes up and I was like, oh my gosh, you scared me. You didn't hear me calling you? And she just was like, I was dreaming of gray men. And that just really,
Oh
like,
man.
she abducted. Like, I don't even remember going to sleep at all. And next thing I know, it's like lights out. I wake up and find her like that. And it was, it's very scary.
So wow, yeah, that's got to be terrifying. But I mean, where are you right now? I mean, as far as like, to what's the word? To comfort your daughter, have you found comfort in this now, or do you still have fear with this, or do you just let it happen?
I deal
Um,
with it. When I get sleep paralysis now, which isn't that often, I don't have fear.
so
It's
you
like
don't
that.
panic.
It's the worst thing you can do when you're having sleep paralysis. It makes it 10 times worse. I'll think of a happy memory,
Uh-huh.
or I'll think of something funny, and it seems just to go away. My daughter hasn't had any experiences. We actually moved from that location, and things did get a lot more quieter.
Okay, so
Uh,
where you're at now though is you're still having that though, is that correct?
yeah, occasionally, yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking at your Facebook briefly today. I was at work, and was that you were seeing lights in the sky and filming it? And
Yeah.
okay, so is that at the current house you're at now, or
That was actually, I live in New Bern, North Carolina, and I have seen so many very identical to that right above my house. I was actually at my dad's house in Washington, North Carolina, and me and my sister went out on the porch, and my daughter came following out, and we're honestly smoking cigarettes. I hate to share that habit, but I remember just smoking a cigarette and looking up, and I said, oh my God, do you see that? It looked like a star, but it broke into two separate balls.
Whoa.
And my sister was like, go get your camera, go get your phone. So I run in the house and I come back out and I start recording. And we watched this thing for so long. It was just moving all over the place. And it was just remarkable to watch. And we went back inside, and when we came back out, it almost looked like a bubble, like it had completely transformed. And the third or fourth time we had went back out there, and this thing started up very high. It was the last time when we had went out, it was above tree line. So there's no way this was a star or the moon.
right?
And just the light went out and we never saw it again. And it was very bizarre. But
It's very
that's for
similar to
people,
Bonnie.
that seen
Yeah.
it.
It is I mean, yeah, you and Bonnie Rampey got to hook up because your
For real,
your stories are really similar. I was talking with you earlier today about how she can. And I don't want to use the word conjure, but she can
Summon.
meditate and
Mhm.
say, visit me today, and
Mhm.
and it's always a certain time. I think she said it was 6 o'clock, about 6 o'clock. She could go out and she would see usually one or and sometimes two. Um, and another thing she said that was very interesting, which kind of to me connects with paranormal, is I've been in my living room before. You know what orbs are, correct?
Mhm.
Just balls of energy, right? And
Yeah.
I was sitting in my living room. My little daughter was laying here. My wife was she was in the bedroom, and all of a sudden I saw this probably about this big around, this bright light in the corner of the room. And
Mhm.
so my daughter was like, she was a little prankster, so I thought she's got the mag light, or something. And I look over and she's sound asleep. Now, with saying that, this thing broke into two balls, two different orbs, and then just went through the ceiling. And I'm
Yeah.
almost wondering if there's some type of energy relation with
I
UFOs,
think
and
so.
or are we seeing orbs in the sky possibly? I mean, what I don't know.
It could very well be something that's always intrigued me because I've also had paranormal experiences was the fact that whenever I would have a visitation from my uncle or seeing a shadow apparition, they go through walls. Gray beings go through walls just like they do. I do not believe that gray beings come from another planet. I believe they come from another dimension.
That's what, yeah, I do too.
Okay.
I think most of them are all interdimensional creatures. I don't know what to use. Beings, interdimensional beings. As far and even the crafts, I think somehow they're slipping through time, or they're crashing through that little thin web that we have or layer,
Thread, yep.
and entering our dimension. And
Yeah.
that's what I kind of believe. So that's very interesting. How many? Okay, didn't you have like more than one video of, or was it the same occurrence, or was there different occurrences that you saw lights and you actually had filmed them?
Those two videos were taken at my dad's house. I probably
Now, were they the same day or night, or?
yeah, the same day. It was or the same night. I took those videos pretty much back to back. The only other time that I've experienced something that wasn't at my house was at my fiance's dad's house, and we were over there that night, and there was supposed to be like a meteorite shower, so we were all wanting to go out at night watching it. I'm holding up my phone, and this was actually the first occasion that my fiance had saw something that really spooked him. And as I'm recording, I thought my hands were kind of shaky, and I pull my camera down, and it's a ball of light, and it's pretty much doing the same thing. It would go from like this to that and side to side, and then it would just like go back in the middle, and like the light would go off, and then it would just do this whole pattern over and over again. And we watched this for probably about 10 minutes, and it went down real slow with the light on, and it shot up, and it was gone in seconds. And I think that was when my fiance is like, okay, something really is happening here.
Yeah.
And it was funny when you were telling me about the lady, I believe Bonnie, when anytime I see balls of light like that, whether I'm with people or by myself, I could literally think in my head like I'll speak to them, like hi, or say something like that, and the movement will start going, or like lights will start going crazy.
Yeah, and same thing. We had another guest named Amber Lee. She comes on every once in a while. And the same thing.
Same exact thing. When she would see an orb or some sort of light or difference, she would feel like as if she was able to communicate. Even though she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my knee just hit that." Did you see it? It was like,
yeah, and your feet smell horrible.
We had an earthquake the other day. Did you know that?
4.9.
Jeez, dude.
Yesterday.
But no, she would say she would see stuff coming through her windows, like when she would open it in the morning, just rays of light that she felt like were somehow communicating to her in a different way. So it's even in this, like they would dance. Remember, we were like they were dancing for you. That's crazy.
Yeah. So man, the whole thing of the orb that fascinates me a lot, because
me too.
Then it kind of makes me think, is this all paranormal? Is it all paranormal?
I've often thought that.
Yeah, and
they're so similar to spirits. It's hard to tell, but I definitely do believe they're from another dimension.
I do too, and I wonder.
Maybe how do we not know when we die? Does our soul go to another dimension? Or to me, that it seemed very hand in hand.
Yes,
right, for sure.
Yeah, I wonder that too. I always think, if after we pass away, what if we just go to a different timeline or something, possibly? I saw this story of this guy. He said he was on the interstate and he was driving. He said this huge truck went over, and he said he felt this jolt, and then all of a sudden the truck was maybe 10, 15 feet in front of him. He said, now I know I hit that truck. I know I would have been demolished.
Yeah.
But he said he really feels like he jumped to a different dimension where he didn't die in that dimension. And so now he's living the rest of his life where the other dimension he just came from, there's a funeral, there's all this horrible stuff. But yeah, it's so fascinating. I think somehow it's all connected. And Susie Heath, thank you so much for the super
Jeez.
chat. See, you need to get your own YouTube channel. You get people like this, give you money.
Susie, yeah, she buys all of our equipment.
Susie is paid for everything in this room. Bless her
We
heart.
love you, Susie.
Susie, we missed you too.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up tonight. We appreciate
Mona's back. Yeah.
it. But yeah, I definitely think there's, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be able to put it together though until we move on. Until we move on.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, to whether we die, go wherever we go.
Well, I definitely think that having conversations and being open about what we're experiencing.
This is why I put the channel together.
I know it is.
Because I could not find people. Like I even thought about like trying to find a discussion group to meet at a Starbucks or a library just to talk about this type of thing. Right. And man, it's hard. It's hard to find people. So I thought, well, hell with it. Everybody's doing YouTube. I'll go on YouTube and see if we can do it this way. And it's worked. And I mean, and you coming on, it educates me, educates Garrett, it educates everybody. And it's good getting this word out too.
It pushes it forward, doesn't it?
Now you mentioned you got a younger sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Has she had any type of, because I'm almost wondering if families sometimes are chosen. My sister also has crazy paranormal stuff that happens. Now, again, when I was talking about religion, she is still very religious and she prays for it to go away. She thinks it's satanic. She thinks it's from the devil. It's not from God. But yet she still has these visions. She sees things and it's like my grandma could do the same thing. It was almost generational, like, and I don't know how to describe it, but so that's the reason I was asking you.
I've always wondered, do these people that have these abduction experiences have a certain bloodline or blood type? I mean, I have watched so many people, including David Icke, and you know, when people talk about the British monarchy, they are in power because of their bloodline, and you know, you hear about a draconian bloodline or things like that, and that was something that really stood out to me. Are people having these abduction experiences because of their bloodline or because of their psychic abilities? That is always something that's interested me, is listening to David Icke talk about. Are you guys familiar with David Icke?
I'm not, but as soon as if we get done with this, I'm looking that up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered. And you know, when you hear of like the British monarchy, they refer to themselves as blue bloods, and they're constantly referring their bloodline. And it just really makes you wonder. I definitely think you guys should check out David Icke. And I can't remember all this stuff that he said. He's a far better speaker than I am, but he's a very smart man. And a lot of the stuff he says, it really makes sense. He really puts it together.
Maybe we can get him on the show.
Man, I'll tell you what. I mean, everything you've said has made sense, and I've been able to really track. And it's like something that I've been so interested in since we started the channel. It's not something I thought about before. Now I've got a tattoo of an astronaut getting abducted, but I mean, literally, it's because of these conversations that we've had that I'm like, oh my God, like it is possible. Right.
I know. But there's the big elephant in the room is we're never going to know. Yeah. I mean, that's the problem.
Oh, and my sister actually just messaged me. There was a time that they had saw weird lights in the sky. We went over to my grandmom's house. I can't remember if it was a birthday party or Thanksgiving. So I left in my car with my daughter and my younger sister, Dana. I have an older sister and a younger sister. My younger sister was with my little brother, Sam, and I have another brother that's a little bit older. And as we're on the way home, I see a ball of light. It was like a big ball of light. And this beam of light comes down, and I see like these little balls of light coming out of it. So I call up my mom, and I tell her, and she's like, oh, my God, Dana and Mark saw the same thing on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And, yeah, so there was, they made sure, because they're all watching. But yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, shout out to Mark.
Yeah, shout out to Mark. Whoever that is. Mark your husband or?
No, that's my brother. Josh.
Oh, hey,
my
Mark. What's up, Mark? What's up, Mark? So yeah, it's funny you say that because I was asking because we're planning to go visit Bonnie at some point, and like I said, we're going to take a whole camera crew and do this. And she said that. the one thing I was worried about, thought, we'll get down there and then freaking nothing will happen. And I still believe her, don't get me wrong. But she said, no. She said every time that she's had guests, that she said they really start showing off.
Yeah.
And she said, actually, some of the people who came in and witnessed this stuff, that it followed them home. And for a short time, they started seeing things in the sky. And I think maybe that's part of it. They're trying to open people up to that. So,
I think that there are, unfortunately, extraterrestrials that want us in the dark. And then there's other extraterrestrials that are trying to get our attention. Sorry, I got so many dogs that make
no, you're fine.
Let's see it.
But
crazy
I definitely think that there are extraterrestrials that believe that we should know the truth and the amazing things that they could do.
Right.
And again, we kind of touched on that. What do you think the truth is? What is the message? I know we talked about love and peace, but is there anything else you can think of that they would like us to know?
As far as gray beings, I don't think they want us to know anything. I think they just coming in, doing what they want, watching us. As far as
stealing our DNA.
As far as other extraterrestrials, I do believe that there are good ones, and that they are trying to get our attention. But I've never had any type of direct communication with extraterrestrials like that.
Have you ever witnessed any of the other, what would you call it, races, the reptilians or anything like that?
One occasion,
that would scare me to death because they look like praying mantises or something.
Yeah, so the praying mantis extraterrestrials I did not see. I have saw the tall gray beings, the short gray beings, and a reptilian.
With the pink thing on.
Basically with the reptilian was I had woke up in the middle of the night and I was kind of still half asleep. And I remember before I went to bed, I had actually, I keep a lamp on in my bedroom and the bathroom's connected to the bedroom, and I had turned off the light. And when I woke up, I was paralyzed. And I remember like kind of coming out of like a shadow was like this reptilian, and I could see its whole body except for its face. Like it was deliberately not showing its face. And at the time, I was really getting into David Icke and watching things and just believing that reptilians were, actually hostile. And I was talking about it, just with a few people I felt safe talking to it about. And it kind of like leaned in, like it was showing me its arm, like kind of like a dominance thing.
Okay. Posturing.
And it kind of faded back into the shadow. And I mean, they have long nails. I mean, it was just. It was really scary, but I did not see the face. I just saw the whole body and definitely the hand and the arm. And, a lot of people say that reptilians go hand in hand with gray beings, but there was only one occasion I saw a reptilian on, and it was very brief.
So you're under the understanding that the gray beings are up to no good, then?
Honestly, yes. I mean, if people say, oh, well, they gave us technology, what, cell phones, keeping people distracted. I think that they don't have that many emotions. I mean, I don't know if that really means that they're sinister. I definitely believe that the reptilians are. I don't know what to say other than they're here just experimenting on us, and whether we should be scared or not, I don't know, but it's something that people should know the truth about.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I really don't think we have anything to fear. And the reason I say that, and well, it's easy for me to say because I've heard some horrible experiences from other people who've been abducted, but they haven't destroyed our world.
Yeah, you're saying like,
and they have the technology.
You're saying like population as a whole.
Yeah,
like we don't really. Yeah, because they could have done it probably just.
Oh yeah. I mean, if they really disliked us or whatever, then they could have destroyed us. And
I think their main thing is keeping us distracted from what they're doing, and I don't think it's nothing sinister. I just think it's something that it would cause mass hysteria in the public. Do I think they're evil? Probably not. If they were these terrible, evil beings, we wouldn't be here. And certainly the people that have had so many abduction experiences could have ended up dead or whatever. And, you know, that's not the case. I think they are just distracting us. They don't want us to know what's going on.
Well, Mona has a good question. You can probably read that where you're at. I wonder if some of these are shapeshifters, look like humans.
Probably, yeah. So many people, you know, say they'll shapeshift into owls or things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's very possible that they could probably take on any form of human or whatever and kind of blend in amongst us. And for what reason, I don't know, but it could be done. So what do you think would happen if you were to remove those devices or those chips you have in you?
I'm not sure. You know, one of the things that really alarmed me was if I do take these out, will they come back and put them back in?
Right.
And you know, that's something. Sorry, I got to charge up my phone before it dies.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, so that was something that kind of alarmed me, where I just kind of got scared, because it's like, yeah, you do want to at times have it removed, but would they come back and put it in, or would they be upset that it was removed?
Right. And I think they can be tracking devices because they can find you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you said, I think
communication.
They've got to be some type of communication things. But then that's a little scary in a way, is what if they're programming your mind for something, or, you know what I mean? And it could be fine, but it could be bad. I don't know.
Well,
but I mean,
you know how the Amazon, what are because I don't have the Alexa or whatever, you know, the Amazon thing, how it's constantly collecting data and it's improving itself.
Yeah.
Could it be something like that, where everything that she's taking in, her perceptions are going through that into like a massive database that's building a profile on humans?
And maybe expanding her mind somewhat. I don't know, but I think they would make it more clear for her to get out a more specific message. I mean, all we're doing is speculating at this point. You know, we're saying, well, we think they're good. Well, we think they did one of this. We don't know. But if I was going to say, if they have to use that for a tracking device, then their technology isn't all that great.
Yeah.
But I mean, because I think she's right. If she was to remove them and they are still interested in her path of life,
right,
that they would come in and put them on. And you said that was a very painful experience to go through.
Yeah.
Isn't that correct? So
yeah. It's definitely off-putting. You know, when you first go through it, it's like you're so scared to go to bed at night. You don't want to be alone by yourself. And for me, it was really hard because my fiance was working, night shift. I was always home by myself. And you often wonder if they prey on people that are alone or don't have that many neighbors around. But the only thing I just want to do is come up here and share my experiences, because I do think that there are a lot of people that go through this. And I know it's so frustrating to people because you just, like you said, speculating about it. But it's just one of those things. I don't think that those gray beings want us to know, the masses, they don't want us to know what they're doing.
Damn it.
Damn.
Well, that makes it sound.
Damn it.
Well, no, it just makes it sound more nefarious to me.
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
Here's some technology, make a cell phone.
But I think, and I think it's very important that you guys go out there with your equipment and capture these UFOs, because at least there's some hope in that. I mean, I've had so many people look at the video that I've took, and they're like, oh my God, that's not a moon. That's not a star. I saw that spinning.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it's a chain reaction. Then they start looking up, because so many people work, they eat, they go to sleep. They don't take the time to go outside and look up at the stars for 5 minutes.
For sure.
And I can guarantee you, if you do that, start going out every night for 10 minutes and look up, you will see something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I believe that
we
too.
talk about that a lot.
But yeah, that's the plan. We're planning. I think I talked to Bonnie. She's maybe wanting to do it in the spring. But it's something I thought of is every video we have of UFOs or pictures, they're blurry.
Yeah.
And we got access to very, very expensive cameras that we should see the alien through the window waving at us. So I think it would be almost, I was telling Garrett, it'd be revolutionary if we could actually get great footage, clear footage that we could actually expand and blow up and see markings, see something. So that's my plan. That's what I want to see. And like I said, then if we see something that says USA, then we know it's
gosh, I'll be so mad.
Yeah, which I don't think that's it. But anybody got any questions for Anna?
Give it a couple.
Yeah, my wife is usually the moderator. She has something to do today, so we haven't been able to look at anything much.
It's just been a fascinating conversation.
It has been. Do you want to tell people where they can, if they wanted to look at your website, or not website, but your Facebook? Because like you said, you got those 2 really cool videos on
there. So it's just Anna Rosanelli. Last name's Rosanelli. My profile picture will have my French bulldog, and then the back profile pictures, and you'll recognize me with the long red hair. I'm easy to find. But yeah, come check it out, and I'm always open to talk about it. And there was one experience that my mom actually did want me to share. She does not know if she's had abduction experiences and maybe just don't remember it. But she had a dream when I was a baby, and I can't remember if she said she saw gray beings or she just had a feeling that there was like aliens in the house, but she remembered like having a fear that they were trying to take me and there was nothing that she could do. And that was the only time she really experienced something other than her and my stepdad seeing the 2 lights on 2 different occasions. But yeah, it makes you wonder if there are people that have had these experiences that just don't remember.
For sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so. That's interesting.
And I wonder,
shared that.
I wonder if she just had the experience because of Anna. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I'm
always open. I mean, most people probably wouldn't share this information, but my email is ANNAROSANELLI47@gmail.com. And like I said, I don't care if it's in the middle of the night or whatever. I think that there are these people that having these experiences and are really traumatized and don't know, who to reach out to. And it's like, when you're going through something like this, it's not like you can just call up the cops and say, oh my God, this is going on, Right. And I think that there should be more groups to support people, going through this.
Yeah, I do too. Absolutely.
And I think, it probably puts people in anxiety, or people have the PTSD.
Are they?
I think the aliens are messing with you there. You kind of completely cut out. Your voice went into a robot mode.
Oh no! Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Kim F in our chat group wants to know what kind of skin and what color did the reptilians have?
Very scaly, dark green color, very long nails. Like I said, I see the face of this reptilian. I just saw the body, and their arms are probably triple the size of regular humans. I remember like the middle part being like very, very wide, very muscular. Very different than the grays. Like the tall grays are very skinny, no clothes, just very dark eyes. Reptilians are definitely different than gray beings.
Wow, that would be terrifying to see.
And then, let's see, the tail. I remember seeing a tail. It's really scary.
Oh, yeah, it is. All right. Well, Anna, we want to thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it so much.
You're welcome.
You've been very
Thank you for having me up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're friends on Facebook, so if you have any updates you want to share, just let me know.
Hey, make sure you connect her with Bonnie.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I talked to Bonnie about
Okay,
it earlier.
good.
Yeah, you guys need to definitely hook up and talk. Maybe we can have both of you guys on.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be.
That'd be cool. Well, Anna, you have a great
Thank you.
night. Thank you again so much. And you guys can visit her at Facebook if you got any questions. She gave you the email.
Anna Rosanelli.
Yeah, would you quit? I have to apologize for him.
It's
Anyway,
okay.
Anna, have a great
Good
night.
night.
Thanks
You
again.
too. All right, good night.
Bye.
That was amazing.
This is the kind of shows I like doing. Very fun.
It's far out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's paranormal.
And you find that more and more of these people
shared experience.
They share an experience that's very similar.
I know.
But it's still the frightening thing to me is like at first, I was going to tell her, well, don't be afraid because they haven't blown us up. But at the same time, if you don't really know what they're up to,
right,
and they're obviously not sharing that with her, she feels like that they're trying to keep the human mind off of what they're up to, which makes you think, okay, well, what's really going on?
Right.
So it's like, can we trust them? Can we not trust them? So yeah, it's and the Grays, those evil little guys, I guess.
Man, big guys.
Yeah.
Tall guys.
I think they're called, and they may just be called the Tall Grays, but I remember seeing on a UFO show, they talked about that they were these Grays that were just like giants. I mean, huge.
See, like I'm cool with some UFO sightings. I don't want any visits from aliens.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
Well, like I said, even when I had mine, I never felt like I had been abducted or anything put into me or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like Father Guido Sarducci said in SNL. I know no one knows who this is. It's from the 70s. Like, well, they used to have this little comedy skit, and he'd come on and talk, and he goes, here's the deal. He goes, if you don't remember seeing UFOs, you're probably seeing them all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't remember being abducted, you're probably being abducted every night.
Forget about it.
Yeah, he was this priest Italian guy. Yeah. So, do you remember Father Guido Sarducci?
That's a great quote, and it's honestly perfect.
Yeah, it is. So if you guys, it's for you, especially so for you non-believers, you're probably being taken up all the time according to Father Guido Sarducci.
Lack of evidence isn't evidence.
Lack of evidence. That's right.
Well, it's like, I think what's wild too is just like the psychological part of it too. And I was glad that you like brought that part of it up, because it is tough to kind of wrap your head around, right? Mm-hmm. But in each guest that we've had all talks about this kind of telepathic dance that these extraterrestrials are doing with their mind and with energy. And, which I find fascinating.
I do too. There's, like I said, when they're talking about seeing lights split up, well, I saw the very same thing in my living room, which I thought was just spirit orbs. So how do we know that these just aren't a big ball of energy of orbs that are just in the sky?
Right.
And then you're going on to a whole thing of, okay, maybe it's not UFOs, maybe these are spirits.
Pockets of energy
that are intelligent and that, are doing all this. But then we have the craft sightings, the ones that look like actual crafts.
You have the Bob Lazars out there.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever told you the story about the Marfa lights. Have I ever told you about when I saw it? You guys can look it up. It's called Marfa Lights.
Yeah, I remember.
Marfa,
Texas. You did. Go ahead and share.
It was like 3:00 in the morning, and Marfa is like kind of by the border of Texas and Mexico, right? So like there's nobody living out there. And I was driving and I saw what I believed to be a campsite. And so I stopped and I was like, oh my God, and I was with somebody, these lights are moving and they're floating. And I was like, oh my God. And so I go into town the next day and they have I still have the DVD. It's called Marfa Lights. And that's just what it is. You can go out there and see flying orbs in this one little pocket of the valley, and I just, anytime we have these conversations, I'm always thinking in my head, like you said, this is a paranormal type of experience that she's having. Right. I mean, a lot of if you listen to the stories with Dr. Corelli or Kathy Nance, when they talk about energies and they talk about, she mentioned the Grays going through the wall. Right. Yeah. And how many times have we encountered conversations like that on this podcast?
All the time. So this seems to be, they just kind of, but then again, how many times have we talked about people who've seen spirits who just walked in through the wall?
Right.
Which is what I guess you were getting at.
Right.
So
what is it, a misperception? Like if we're seeing these grays walk through the wall, is it because maybe I'm not as in tune with that side of the universe, right? Like, so
yeah, I see what you're saying, and I don't know.
It's tricky, isn't it?
I don't know.
I love how you started off the show with that, though. Like, and you do that every time we have an alien person. I like it. An alien person. God, that sounded awful. Well, you know what I'm saying, though. Somebody speaking on this subject, you always start, and I love it, is like, hey, do you have that experience too? Because it's something we are always talking about. It's like that UFO paranormal experience almost goes hand in hand.
I try to make that connection because it's there.
It is.
But I mean, again,
is it energies and frequencies?
There's a lot of similarities and then there's some differences. But because when you then, like, oh, and we need to do a show, you guys. I saw something. I talked to Garrett very briefly about it. These two people are too big to come on my show. But if you've watched a show called Kindred Spirits, and it's it's a couple of guys, or a girl and a guy from Ghost Hunters. I want to do a whole show on this, but I don't know if I can get enough material. But okay, I'll just tell you.
Tell me.
Okay, so they are investigating this haunting, and in fact, if you guys have HBO Max or Discovery, I think it's on Discovery. It's called Zombie Boy. That's the name of the episode. So, okay, listen to this. So they go to do this investigation. There's two spiritual things going on. One's kind of a nasty thing, and one's this looks like a boy, and they call him. And the people, it's like a Airbnb or something like that, right? So they rent out, or they are bed and breakfast, right? So they keep having this experience of this kid, and they named him Zombie Boy. Okay. So they go up, and it's Adam. Oh, and what's the other girl's name? I know you guys know who I'm talking about. Can someone in the chat help me? Kindred Spirits, Adam something, and the girl. Anyway,
Heather.
No, okay. Her name's, I can't remember. So they do this thing with the spirit box where she'll put on the headphones. She's completely silenced, right? She can't hear what he's saying, but the spirit box is running through her ear, right? And he'll start talking to the spirits, and she repeats anything that she hears up here.
Okay.
And so he starts out by saying something about, why are you here? And this thing said, no go. And so it went through, and it wasn't a whole lot of descriptive stuff, right?
Right.
So they stopped, they listened back, really nothing on it, except for that one thing she said, no goal.
Yeah.
There might have been a couple things, but they said, what if someone came into a room and they kept talking about a ghost? They gave it a biography. In other words, they gave it a background, their dad,
a narrative.
Right. So they said, let's try this. Let's sit in a room, and we're going to make up this whole story. And she goes, okay, so Zombie Boy, his dad, they just wrote down, his name was Edward. His dad, it was drastic because his dad was killed during the Civil War. Now, again, they're making all this up. The mother's name was Beatrice. Zombie Boy was riding a horse. He had a horrible accident, which disfigured his face, hence the name Zombie Boy. That's what people call him.
Oh, okay.
And so they kind of talked a little bit, and then they said, let's let that just simmer for a while. Let's leave the room and let's go investigate the other case that's going on.
Right.
So they were having another ghost that was a little bit more cynical. They're out in a barn. So they go to the barn, they start doing some EVP work. And they use Chip Coffee. He's
Chip.
Yeah, Chip's well-known psychic. And so they're asking Chip about, now not about Zombie Boy, but they're asking about this guy, right? They're like, Chip, take a read on what do you feel? And he goes, well, I keep getting, like, was the father's name Edward? He said, and I'm seeing Civil War times.
Yeah.
He
manifested it.
He was, yes.
Wow.
Now they go, and they're both looking at each other like, holy crap.
Because Chip doesn't know.
They gave no Chip got no background.
Yeah.
And then he starts kind of getting into a little bit of the other spirit that they're investigating, right? But a lot of it, some of it was coming from the story they manifested in the house. So they wait a few hours, they go back, and they said, okay, now let's go do an EVP session in this home, in that room where we talked about, and let's see what happens. So they turn on, they use, oh, and the other thing about Zombie Boy is they said part of the narrative was he loves playing with K2 meters when investigators come through the house. Okay. So they got the K2 meters on, they got the recorder running, and they go, what, Zombie Boy, what's your mother's name? And they pause, and what's your father's name? And then they start talking about, we hear that you love playing with a K2 meter. Or no, we hear, what they said is, we hear there's a certain device ghost hunters use that you like to play with. And this K2 meter is just going crazy.
Whoa.
To the point where the cameraman was going, holy shit. He was pointing at it.
Yeah.
And so they stopped the session. They play back. Okay. What was your mother's name? Beatrice.
Whoa.
What was your father's name? Edward. What, and even the last part of it, they said, now what is the device, Zombie Boy, that you like using when it goes and it said K2.
Wow.
So that, if you think about, maybe we are so damn powerful as human beings. I've always said, and I've said this, we can manifest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can make things happen good in your life. You can make things happen bad in your life. You can speak it. It's kind of like going back to that big thing, The Secret, everybody was doing, where it's like you see yourself being successful, and you make yourself successful that way, right? So then it almost, I had to stop and like go, wait a minute, how many hauntings are just because, let's say we're
manifesting it,
right? Let's say we went to, let's say we're in this, I don't want to do it here, but let's say we were in a hotel or something, and we're like, Garrett, did you hear that? And then we just kind of start making it like, dude, I wonder if someone was killed here.
Right.
Or I wonder, and we start making a story up. And so because we make the story up, we are
latches onto it.
We're converting it to energy.
Yes.
Now the energy is becoming alive of the story that we have made. When we leave, this energy still there. So therefore it's creating some havoc.
It's kind of, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying. So it really makes you think, how many hauntings, they're unintelligent. They're not spirits. They're just, it's energy that we created.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Hotel Cecil.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. That would be a perfect example.
Right?
Perfect example.
Where a portal was created through energy and being spoken into existence, and these crazy things are happening, and it's just, it collects. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I got to watch Zombie Boy.
She was saying, this could turn the whole paranormal thing upside down. She was, and also we need to be careful with this.
Right.
So, I mean, I see exactly what you're saying. If we go into a haunting and we start giving this thing more energy,
and
giving it an identity, giving it a biography,
a narrative,
and all this information, now we've created something.
Yeah.
So if you go in with, this thing's evil,
right,
then you just manifested something evil, and it's not necessarily something that was there as evil. You just said it was, and because you said it was, it happened.
And your intent, right?
Absolutely, it goes with all that
fear, the emotion, which is all vibrational. Which, dude, our show is so freaking awesome.
Yeah, and so Mona's perfectly right. Our universe is made of energy, in my opinion. Yes, and Mona, and I think part of that energy is the energy we create. It's like you can walk in, like, say there's a violent argument in a room, or something just happened, and you walk in, you know how you kind of feel like, ugh.
For sure, the tension.
I need to take a shower because there's some bad mojo.
Yeah. Oh,
this energy was created.
Right.
So it made me kind of think, are we talking to the dead, or are we talking to something we completely made up?
Right.
Or the family started talking about, well, Aunt Jean, she was so great, and blah, and they make this thing, and then it's not Aunt Jean, but it's the energy that I just gave to whatever this thing was. Or no, I created it.
Right.
I created an energy of Aunt Jean. Aunt Jean starts answering questions. Therefore, I think maybe it's Aunt Jean.
Right.
And it might not. Aunt Jean could be up in heaven, and we've made this.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy too, because like she says, the universe is made of energy. Let me make 2 points. Is that the universe continues to expand. That's something we know, right?
Yep.
And people continue to die. energy continues to be let out every day in this conversation, right? We're talking about energy and intent. Okay. So maybe there's a correlation between life, death, and the universe expansion. And then the second thing is, Mona, there's energy that we can't even define. Black holes. I mean, there's things like, so, it all goes back into that whole, wait, what does that say?
Perfect.
Yes, exactly.
Susie,
yes.
perfect. Some poltergeists that are manifesting someone's energy. And, they always talk about the girls that are getting ready to go through puberty. Sometimes, that energy will cause crazy stuff to happen in the house. And they call it, well, this is poltergeist activity. It's happening.
Right.
But I do think that depending on exactly what you said, the intent that you give it.
Right.
Can you make this thing intelligent? Can you make this thing answer questions?
Right.
Or are we talking to the real spirit world? So it's almost like, wow, it blew my mind that night.
You blew my mind.
I couldn't sleep because I was thinking, holy crap.
Right.
And this is groundbreaking. And even Chip has said, guys, you're onto something groundbreaking. He goes, I picked up on this energy that you guys just made up.
Yeah, yeah.
And Spirit told me about this information. And
maybe it was a spirit.
Well, no, it was. I guess if we're talking in energy, then it was the energy. Right. I mean, and like she says, energy is everything.
Right.
We're energy. That microphone's energy. Everything in this room's energy.
Man, I remember a guy telling me, is actually not a guy I really think a lot of. He's actually a preacher, but this always stuck with me. He said, every word we speak into existence, like, never dies. He's like, so the words that I'm saying are traveling for time.
That was me.
Well, no. You have said that.
I've said that. It's like, where does our speech go?
Right. It just continues to, because you have said that in episode.
Basically, because the frequency of it is it loses the frequency, but frequency and energy never die.
Right.
So where is this going?
Right.
When I like what I just said, now where is it?
The universe is expanding.
Can you could you capture it with a device that can you imagine the chaos of
my God,
everything everybody's ever said in the world?
Hey, it would sound like our intro to the Single 7
episode. God. Yeah, in Single 7, if you're watching, I saw you try to get in, but it kept saying device not connected, device, and I actually tried to connect you.
Because somebody out there didn't want Single 7 in on a UFO conversation.
Right.
I was afraid he was going to spill the beans.
Somebody says something here. Let's see. Okay. Some souls are evil because they were in life. Yeah, I do. And that's another thing is
negative energy.
Negative. Well, yes, absolutely. Negative energy. Or is it actually, that's the thing is now I'm kind of confused. Is this energy evil because we said it was? Did we create this evil, or is there actually a spirit that is evil? That's
right.
That manifested itself. I don't know now.
It's something.
It's something.
There's something.
But if I talk about something long enough, it's going to happen, right? Whether even if it's evil,
right.
I could bring up something very evil, and I keep talking about it, and then therefore I manifested it, and it's going to have an effect, I think, on anybody around in that area.
Yeah. Or what Andrew's saying is that you were an evil person while you were alive.
Right.
Therefore, your soul will be evil when you're not alive. Is that what he's saying?
Well, Andrew's got some souls are evil because they were in life. And it could be, but how do we know, Andrew? Maybe possibly, and maybe this is what you're saying is they were evil in life. So therefore that energy was left here while they moved on to wherever they went to.
Interesting.
That could be
interesting, Keith.
That could be a possibility as well.
I actually like that.
It's very now everything's possible.
I know, man. I
know. Because I do think, okay, well, I know there's something out there
that would give reason for, and of course, man, we could talk about this all night, but let's just really quick on the hills of everything. That could give reason for that gives me some sort of comfort knowing that the reason
I think Mona's trying to tell us to get off the air. That would be a great topic of discussion for another show, Mona. Guys.
Jeez, well, Mona, you can leave if you have to.
No, Mona. And I'm glad she said that, because before I was going to have Anna on as a guest, I thought that would be a great show. Mm-hmm. But then I wanted someone to bounce it off of besides you and me.
Right.
Like if we had Carl Johnson on or something.
Right.
And maybe I'll contact Carl about it, and then we can have a big discussion about what I saw.
Oh yeah, well,
Amy Bruner, Adam, not Curry, Adam. God dang it, Amy Bruner's the girl, and Bruni, and Adam's the other name. But you know what, we do. This is the kind of thing that turns me on.
oh yeah,
This is the kind of thing, because then you're kind of getting to the bottom of it. Not, I still want to believe possibly that we do have human spirits. Like when, for instance, when we had the military meeting on, and Brendan, my dad, came through.
yes,
Papa. And I do believe that. So I think it's both. I think as paranormal investigators, they're going to have to be, like she said, we got to be really careful now,
right,
about creating and adding to whatever this energy was, and coming in more neutral, maybe.
Right.
So yeah. So what I think right now is, I think we do have human spirits, as Andrew was talking about. So Andrew, I think you're right too. I think it,
well, that's the point.
I think we have when we pass on the other side, I think we have the option to come back.
Well, I was gonna say, I thought it was interesting what you said about like dumping the evil and moving on. Like that to me gives some sort of comfort, and knowing that eventually when we're not on this earth and we pass on, is that all that evil that we encounter on a daily basis gets left behind on earth.
Adam Berry, cool. Susie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Susie.
Adam Berry. Yes, Adam Berry and Amy Bruni. And yeah, if you guys get a chance, the episode is called Zombie Boy.
I'm gonna check it out, dude.
It's on Discovery Plus, I think, and I can't remember what season is, but I found this cool trick on Google. I can just ask, hey, what season and what episode was Zombie Boy, and it'll tell you exactly the season number and the episode number, so you can just go right to it.
Awesome.
But I tell you what, yeah, let's plan on that show.
Yeah,
I've got Magenta on for next week,
awesome.
So if you guys want free readings, come on in.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
Again, I know Patrick. I think if Pat was Patrick.
I didn't see Pat tonight.
No, who was it? Who's the other guy who calls us?
Charles O.
Charles O. Yes. So Charles, I know you were asking about, you wanted to get a reading. So again, what I'm going to do is, like I did the last time, I'm going to put the link down here. You click on it, it puts you in the green, what we call the green room, and then I pop you guys up as we go. So if you want a free reading next week, Magenta's going to be doing that. So you guys,
I'm going to blow it up on social media, so you guys better be in.
Yeah. And then I may, if you guys let me know, leave a comment about this show on this energy, on this Zombie Boy,
I didn't mean to do that, sorry.
To see if you guys want a show on that. I know Mona does. I certainly would love to do it, because I mean,
hey, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, because to me, it could go either way.
Hey,
or it could go
big questions.
Right. It could be singularity, or it could be that there's two different things going on here. Or what if you do have the human spirit, or this ghost spirit, or whatever, and now you're adding to its story.
Right.
And so therefore it's basically just regurgitating on the EVP what you just said. And how do we know that the people who do the EVPs, when they go do an investigation, it's not regurgitating what guests have said, who stayed at the Airbnb or the
and a good experiment would have to replicate this hundreds of times to see if it even works. This could be just something that's happening in this house.
It could
right?
Be. It could
so
be. So far there's nothing happening in this house, which
I'm saying in the house where
in the house. Yeah.
In that house. Yeah.
I'm just making it clear.
Yeah, making it very clear.
Yeah, because I don't want that crap anymore.
Great freaking show tonight, dude.
What does Doug say? Yeah, some of us have to get up
Doug's always got something funny
you guys,
to say.
Good night. Thank you so much for coming. We love you guys. Susie, thank you so much for the generous super chat. That was so awesome of you. We've missed you. Glad you're back. We're glad everyone's here. Join in next week for readings. And then let me know in the comments, do you want a show on this energy manifestation thing? I think it's
hell yeah.
I think regardless, I'm doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
And I
love it.
I'll get hold of Carl Johnson and see if he'll be part of it.
Cool.
All right, guys. Good night. We'll see you next week. Love you guys.
Love you.